here? Good morning. Okay, so let's do something different. So when I say good morning, first time, the ladies. And the second time, the guys. Is that good? And if you are watching us, you too, you say good morning out and loud. Okay, for the ladies, good morning. For the guys, good morning. Come on, guys. You home. Go. Good morning. There you go. You're representing everybody home, right? Well, that's so exciting to be here, guys. Who loves technology? Raise your hands, please. Oh, that's the right place then. Who loves the planet you live in? That's also a great place to be. We're going to mix the two things today. We're going to mix technology, all the possibilities that artificial intelligence brings to us, all the automation that we have seen that, this amazing technology can do, plus use the technology with a purpose. Say with me, purpose. You will have to get used to that. I will be asking you to do things a lot. Who had a coffee this morning? Who needs a coffee? So I need your energy today because everything that we're going to discuss today here is going to be so important that might be your future. So we're going to be discussing your future today. Is your future important to you? Yes or no? Important, right? So we have a very important discussion to have here. Your future is for you to choose. What is the future do you choose? And that's going to be our talk today. Shall we? So, we're going to talk about AI and sustainability. And I have to say something. If you are here, you have something in you that you feel like you want to get better. Who wants to get better here? So stand up, please. Stand up. Stand up. Come on, guys. I know maybe you didn't do some exercise today, but it's very important that you take this moment to, absorb what we're going to talk here. AI and sustainability. Why we are bringing those two topics together? Who wants to give a try on why we are bringing those two topics together? Is there a second mic? Is there a second mic for them to talk to? All right. Is there anyone that can bring the mic to them, please? All right. So, why is it important, AI and sustainability, to come together? Yes.
Because they're both the future.
It's what?
They're both the future.
They are both the future. Anybody else? It's a very good answer. Anybody else that wants to give it a try? I'm testing you guys.
The future will depend on AI.
The future will be?
Will depend on AI.
The future will depend on AI. Do you think this is the same? Who else? Come on, just the ladies? What about the guys?
I think AI is the future, and we need sustainable solutions to live a long life.
Sustainable solutions to live a long life. All answers are absolutely right. I put you up now, just for you to internalize what you're going to discuss today. And for the sake of definition, this is why you are here. You feel something special about you. Now you can sit down, please. And that's why you came here. You did a PCR test. You did all the efforts to make sure that you are here and you are making a difference. And the definition of artificial intelligence that we're going to have today is this one here. Can you read with me? It's a superpower that makes you a superhero. We're not going to go technical today. We're not going to go and think of the technology just for the sake of the technology, the bits and bytes of the technology. As a matter of fact, I trust that you are here because you want something bigger to happen in your life. And that's why we have put this together. Because AI is actually this tool that makes you a superhero. Who have watched here Iron Man in the past? Have you guys seen Iron Man? What Iron Man has? Jarvis, right? Jarvis is the artificial intelligence. But who is the superhero? Tony Stark, the Iron Man. And that's the same for you. When you think about artificial intelligence in the way we are going to discuss today, you need to think about the artificial intelligence put you in a position that you can make a difference. You can use artificial intelligence to do something good, to create something that will not only help you, but will help the humanity. And we're going to discuss today, what is it that the humanity needs that you can use artificial intelligence to solve? Are you up for it? Are you good for it? So, watch this. Global scientists from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change say that global heating is shocking our planet, putting billions of people at risk.
In the coming years, we expect to see new extremes that are unprecedented in magnitude, frequency, timing, or in regions that have never encountered those types of extremes.
The window is closing.
You've been telling us for over 3 decades of the dangers of allowing the planet to warm. The world listened, but didn't hear.
We are advancing towards a 1.5 degree increase in temperature. What does that mean? Look at that. Climate crisis is man-made.
It's critical that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, ocean, and the land. We confirm that human-caused emissions of greenhouse gases are the main driver of global warming.
Scientists confirm widespread and rapid change. You've seen in the news. Urgent action must be taken.
Climate change is here now, but we are also here now.
You are here.
Who will?
If we don't act, who will? Who feels the burden for the planet here? Who sees this video and see that there is something big waiting for you? There is indeed something big waiting for you. And you know, one of the first law when the United Arab Emirates came together was a law about business. Who knew about this? It was not about society, was not about the environment, it was about business. So business is very important for the DNA of this country. We show the world how to think bold. We show the world through this country how we actually can use technology and innovation to power the future. But let's reflect a little bit of what is this situation that we are in the world today? Why the video that you just saw is so big warning for all of us to take action. Who wants to learn about business here? Nobody wants to learn about business? Who wants to learn about business? You. Let's think about business for a second. Because there is no technology application if you don't have a business behind it. Do you agree with me? So if you're watching us, think about this. Business is what it will fool the artificial intelligence to come to an existence. And here we have a balance that needs to be made. A balance between the top line. What is the top line? Top line is whatever the organizations do to sell, to create this connection between the supply and the demand. Right? So we build things, and we build things that we want to sell, isn't it? When you are on Instagram, and there is something that pops on Instagram that says, oh, you can buy this. what they are trying to do? They are trying to increase the top line. From finance perspective, it's about sales. And who knows someone that sells something? Most of us, right? You know someone that wants to sell something. And when you want to sell something, how do you feel? You feel excited, right? A salesperson believes so much their products and services that they do whatever it takes for them to sell, right? So there is a huge burden when it comes to the top line of the organizations. But at the same time, we have the bottom line. Who knows what a bottom line is? A bottom line means that you are making money and you save as much money you can so that, we have a margin, isn't it? So I sell for one price, I have a specific cost, and whatever that is there is my margin, is my profit, isn't it? Profit is a very dangerous concept. It's amazing to have profit. But the world, for more than a generation, have been focusing on profit at any cost. And the cost that we're talking about here is the planet. So there is no longer anymore just the top line and the bottom line. We have now a new line. What's this line? The green line. We're talking about the green line. What is the green line? The green line is everything that you do that takes care of the planet when you do business. It's everything that you do when you have an organization, a government. They actually take into consideration all the worst effects that business can do to the planet. So there is a shift, there is a transition on how the world is structured in order to make sure that not only profit is a priority, but also the planet is a priority. Are you with me? This is the balance. This is the new frontier of challenge that we have in order to make sure that we survive in a planet that is beautiful today, but may not be so beautiful tomorrow, because business is extracting all the resources, and they are not taking care that there will be resources enough in the future. And what you saw in that video is that you are a generation that is rising to make a difference. Every one of you here is a superhero of this generation that will do things that will impact future generations to come. You heard in the video, there are 30 years, 3 decades, that scientists have been telling the world how important it is for us to be responsible. Responsible with the innovation, responsible with the technology, responsible with globalization. But the world didn't hear. And now you are here. What will be your attitude towards a so much important issue that we have ahead of us? Look inside of you. This session is not a regular session. This is a very special session. We want you to leave this session with a burden to make a difference, with a burden to leave an impact, a positive impact to the world. And you can use artificial intelligence to do so. You have a technology, you have a capability that never been explored before in order to solve one of the biggest issues of our lifetime. As humankind, we face a tremendous issue, and you are the superhero that can fix this. Do you agree with that? Yes? Good. So, what's the first thing that we need to do in order to accomplish that mission? You are getting a mission, and you need to accomplish that. And the first thing you have to do is to identify your identity. You need to discover your identity. Who are you? What kind of superhero you are? Are you a Superman, a Superwoman? Or are you the Flash? What kind of superhero are you? Every superhero have an identity. Every superhero have a special power that they bring in order to make sure that they help people. And that's why we are here. We want to help you to identify your superpower, but it starts with your identity. Who are you in this new future that you are here to choose? What is the future that you choose? How can we identify our identity? So, as businesses, we do a lot of studies and surveys, and we understand the motivation. Before I talk about the motivation from business to change, from organizations that can actually do something that is meaningful enough to change the situation that we just saw, let's talk about motivation. What motivates you to be here? What motivates you to think of artificial intelligence in a way that you want to use it for good? What is your motivation? I want to hear from you. What is your motivation? Anybody wants to share what is your motivation for being here today? What is your expectation? What do you expect from today's session? Can you pass the phone, Mike?
I want to be able to help my planet.
You are here because you want to help the planet. Fantastic. That's a great motivation. Anybody else? Someone new that just arrived?
To know more about AI.
To know more about AI. Great, we're going to learn more about AI. Well, we're going to learn about AI with a purpose. So what AI can do. Because there are a lot of people in the world that will be using AI. But what is the motivation behind using artificial intelligence? It's a great point. I'm pushing the guys. I want some of the guys to share. Come on. What about the boys? Who will go first? How can you use AI to improve your country? That's what he just said right now. And that's exactly the reason why we are here, because the Artificial Intelligence Office has been set to do that, to use AI to help the country. But right now, it's not only the country we can help the planet from this country. So when I look at all of you here, I see you using AI that you came here to discover, to save the planet and save your country, and help your country to grow, and grow in a sustainable way. We are looking at a sustainable future. And let's learn what is the motivation from businesses. What is the motivation for the companies that you will be either creating or working for? Well, we've done a survey that there are three main motivations for companies to act on the issues that we just discussed now to make a sustainable future. Number one is that they want the top leader of the company, the CEO and the board of directors, to really be committed to all these environmental issues. And we are lucky that we live in a country that the leadership of this country, the leadership of Dubai, they all respect the future. And they work today to make all the potential of the future today. And they already saw and brought us this reality that if we don't take care of the planet, if we don't build that in a sustainable way, there won't be a planet to live in. So the number one is leadership. Say with me, leadership. Again, leadership. Number two, government regulation. And that's something that we will see more often. Businesses and society, they work around regulation, law. And what happens is that for a long time, we didn't have enough law and legislation and regulation that would govern all the environmental issues that we saw in the video. All this impact that the world is having is because government didn't predict that businesses would be so irresponsible. And from now on, they are saying that if the government set regulation, I'm up for it. That's my motivation as a business leader. And because we have government regulation coming up in the world, and because we have the top leaders, we have a powerful combination to make a difference. So the environment that you will be in business in the next decade, and I would say for the next century, will require you to be an expert in sustainability, will require you to learn how to use technology, innovation, artificial intelligence to make a world that we want to live in. That's a core skill. That's why we're bringing that in here. You will have several sessions during the AI summer camp that are amazing. Experts will come up here and they will show you how machine learning works, how the artificial intelligence can hear, how the artificial intelligence can see, how you can automate pretty much everything using artificial intelligence. But the reason that this session is so fundamental to you is that you will learn the purpose why artificial intelligence should exist. And the last one is about revenue and profit growth opportunities. Would you choose a product that affects badly the environment or a product that is good for the environment? Who wants a product that is bad for the environment? Raise your hands. Now, I don't see any hands. Now, if you want a product that is good for the environment, who wants a product that's good for the environment? Hey, raise your hands, please. You see? It means profit for business. When a lot of people want products that are good for the planet, those products will have to be built, will have to be created in a different way. Those products will have to be created using different materials that doesn't affect the world, that are easy to recycle, easy to reuse. So there is a big market opportunity here for revenue, which is money, and profit when it comes to sustainable products and services. Are you with me? Yes or no? Yes? If you are with me, say yes. Yes. Very good. Well, in my company, I work for a company that is all over the world. I work for a company called SAP. If you're watching me from home, SAP is here. And if you're looking, you see the little logo here? This company is from Germany, and it was created about 50 years ago. And today, 77% of all transactions in the world at some point of time, they touch an SAP system. We are a technology company. We power the most powerful companies to operate around the world. And that's great, isn't it? 77% of all transactions touch our company systems. Quite successful, right? But look, we found out that about 85% of the largest carbon emission intensive companies, they also use SAP to manage their processes. I don't know you, but from my perspective, I see a big responsibility. One company that have an influence around the world can actually do something, and that's why I'm here. I'm not here to show you technology for the sake of technology. I'm here because I understand that most of those companies, they will need help. They will need your help to use technology in a way that reduce all this carbon emission that is causing the trouble in the world. And we're doing something about this. As a company, we have been committed to several things to solve the problem. Number one, we are living in the cloud. When it comes to technology, cloud is the way to go. And if you're building a cloud technology, the number one thing you have to do is to make sure that your cloud is 100% green. It means that the carbon emission from the data centers, the way that everything is being done, is sustainably friendly. Number two, zero use of plastic by 2021. This is a big, big goal in the company of not using plastics in everything we do, from the headquarters across all the operations. Number three, CO2 neutral by 2023. And think about this. Being, neutral on carbon emissions is not easy for a big company, because you have a lot of travel, you have a lot of things that you have to do in order to make sure that your operation runs. And for you to make sure that your operation runs carbon neutral, you need to make a big commitment and big investment to achieve that. And that's what we have done. By 2023, the entire operation of the company will run neutral. And finally, this is the first German company to set 1.5 science-based targets. And 1.5 degrees Celsius is what we saw in the video. There is a target for the humankind, not for one company, not from one country, for the humankind, to keep the rise of the climate up to 1.5 degrees Celsius. What does that mean? 1.5, it means that the temperature will rise in a way that will have a lot of impact to the world. So in order for us to control altogether everything that we do to achieve that, companies like SAP need to set targets. And they have to have science behind the way they set those targets in order to accomplish this. So one of your lifelong skills will be learning how to do whatever you want to do in your life in a way that you reduce the carbon emission, that you do things that are sustainable. Are you with me? And we went to the news. Dow Jones in the US, the stock market, is saying that SAP retains title of most sustainable software company. That's good. SAP aims for plastic-free oceans. That's another news. SAP launched carbon emissions accounting system to address climate change. What does that mean? A carbon emissions account system means that whatever that we have done over the past 50 years for the finance world, our system helps companies in the finance world. We want to do the same. For what? For the emissions, for sustainability. So that's the future. Now, the question that I have for you is this enough? It's not enough. That's why I'm here. Because we want a new generation to come up and use our technology to help us build technology that is really making a difference. Our window is very short. You saw in the video. Our window is just what? Within 1 decade. We need to do everything in our power to make sure we can actually stay on target. That the temperature on Earth doesn't go higher than 1.5 degrees Celsius. And guess what? It already increased. You know by how much? 1.1. And the impact, if we don't stay on target, if the temperature goes to 2 degrees Celsius or more, is catastrophic. It means that our quality of life on Earth will not be the same. Maybe if you are watching us from home, you have kids. It means that your kids will not have the same lifestyle that you have today. For all of you here, you will have families, you will have a generation to come. And whatever decision you make today, whatever action you take today, over the next years, will make a difference. Now, it brings us to step 2. And as you can tell, I like you to work. In step 2, you need to find your passion. What is your passion? How can you use your passion to make a difference? How can you use your passion to use artificial intelligence and leveraging the technology that is at your disposal today to be the superhero that we are here to learn about? It all starts with your passion, the burden that is in you. What is your passion? Now, the world needs a lot of things. And luckily, we have a blueprint of all the things that the world needs. It's called the Sustainable Development Goals or the Global Goals. Have you heard of the SDGs or the Sustainable Development Goals before? Raise your hands. Yes, some of you. It's super important for you to identify yourself with at least one of those goals. What is it that you really feel the burden? What is it that you really believe you can make a difference, that you can dedicate your life to? What do you believe you can do in order to make a difference over the next few years? And we have 17 goals. So there is no lack of goals here. You can pick one that is meaningful to you. We start with no poverty. We have no hunger. Good health and well-being. Who goes to the gym? Who does sports? The world of sports is full of opportunities. But not only sports, we're talking about good health and well-being. We're talking about the situation in Africa. We're talking about the way you can handle things in a different way across the world. Quality education. Look at what we have here, the environment that we have here for learning. Your government is putting together for you the best experts in the world to share with you about the latest and greatest on pretty much everything that is imaginable. But not everybody in the world will have this same opportunity. So you can be a channel for good when it comes to education, if that's your passion. Gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth. We're talking about industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Your country, for instance, the United Arab Emirates, is a reference when it comes to the goal number 9. See all the development we've been enjoying in this country. Why? Because there is purpose. It's intentional. The leadership of this country understands that the future must be sustainable. And in order for us to have a future, we must have industry, innovation, and infrastructure. That's why we see so much development in this region. It's an example for the world. Reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities. Dubai is one of the most smartest cities in the world. Why? Because it's intentional. And that's how you need to look at all those goals. The number 13, climate action. Climate action. Say with me, climate action. That's a very important goal. If you ask me, it's one of the most important right now, considering the temperature on Earth is growing so fast. There must be solutions when it comes to climate action. But it's not only about climate action. What about life on land? Life below water? Who loves the sea here? That could be your passion. That could be you that will come up with an artificial intelligence algorithm, a solution, a software technology that actually can solve the problem under the water. Do you see where I'm going here? There's no lack of areas for you to put your passion at work. And if you're watching us from home, what is your passion? When you look at this framework. It's a blueprint for you to take action. The global goals will give you the possibility to use your gifts, your talents, your passion to save the humanity, to make a difference. So we'll have an exercise here, and I want you to start, thinking about which one you want to choose, because we will have, a bit of, a workshop here. And I want you to think deeply and to discuss as a group, because in this way, you will leave here today with something in you that's not only artificial intelligence, which is the code technology capabilities, but also a higher purpose to use that technology. And I promise you, if you come tomorrow, we'll have more opportunities to deep dive on the technology. But you cannot leave the first day of this session without the burden of why the technology is important. So right now, I want you to mentalize, because you will do that in the exercise, which one of those 17 goals you identify the most? Which one aligns to your passion? When you close your eyes, and I want you to close your eyes, please. Everybody closing your eyes. If you're home watching us, close your eyes, please. I want you to see your life over the next 5 years. What are you doing over the next 5 years? Where are you? What kind of technologies are available in the world? Now go a little bit beyond. Close your eyes. Think of 10 years from now. What are you doing? What have you accomplished? You won't be that young anymore. It's 10 years of life. And you are here right now learning things that can help you apply something that is for good. So your passion must be aligned to something that is important. Now you open your eyes, look at those 17 goals, and pick one that you identify the most. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's it. Now, the third step, before we break into groups here, is to build a coalition. What is a coalition? It's a group of like-minded people that come together in order to fight for a cause. Nobody has ever accomplished big goals alone. Nobody can be successful alone. So you're not alone. First of all, you have a lot of people here that they are in the same harmony as you. Because you are here and now together with the same purpose. You want to learn, you want to grow. So first and foremost, you have the people in this room. But when you go out of this room, you will have your family, your friends. You have your city, your country. You are not alone. But you got to be intentional about building a coalition that brings together everything that you need to accomplish that. Maybe when it comes to artificial intelligence, you will not be the developer that will be doing the algorithm. So you need a coalition with developers. Or if you are a developer here, who is a developer here? Raise your hands, please. Who is developing something? Coding. So you will need developers. So if you're not a developer, you're probably someone that will learn development or will use the development to achieve your goals. And that requires an important skill of partnership, building coalitions. Fair enough? Look at this one here. It's a working paper that I want you all to take a picture. So I will give you two options of papers here that I want you to read as you go. Take a picture, please. Corporate responsibility meets digital economy and leading in wicked times. So what is talking here in these two articles that I want you to take a picture, Google on the internet, and download so you can learn a little bit more. It will ask you 3 questions. Number 1, responsible for what? We're talking about responsible innovation, the responsible use of the technology and artificial intelligence. But responsible for what? We just saw a lot of areas that the world needs responsibility. Now, the second question, responsible to whom? To whom will we be responsible? To whom will you be responsible? Is it only your family? Is it only your community, your country? To whom are you being responsible? You came to a session that you want to grow. And I have news for you. You will have to be responsible for something and for someone. And finally, who is responsible? At the end of the day, whatever that you do or you don't do will have an impact. Who is responsible? And I really don't want the person to be you. When we look ahead, right, in your life, you need to make sure that you were responsible for making a difference. Because if you stay at home and if you do nothing, nothing will change. It's basic physics. If you're not in movement, nothing will move. So I want you to think about that for a second, and then we're going to break now into groups. It's going to be group activity just to check. They can be in groups, right? Right. So you're so interactive so far. I've been asking you questions, you've been answering, and now you will have a chance to talk in groups. So we are here in, let's make what, 3 or 4 groups. So everybody here come together. You can really stand up. Everybody stand up, please. To make it easy. Maybe you didn't come here today for a group exercise, but like I said, you cannot accomplish anything successfully by yourself. There is no success when you are alone. That's why we're going to do this group exercise. So, the 5 of you come together, please. 5 or 4, 5 of you come together here as well. So you can physically come together. Just, you can stand, that's fine. You can do this exercise standing. Just come together. 5 and another 5. And let's see how much my math is going here. Yeah, you can go together, guys. It's easy. You want me to help you? Okay, let's do this. So, I want 5 people close to me. 1, 2, 3. I need 2 more. Close, come close, come close. Come close, come close, like a circle. Like a circle. Let's make a circle. Great, it's a circle. Good. You see, guys, that's how we do it. I want 5 more people around me here. I will be in the center, you will make a circle around me. That's good. Come, you're welcome. Yeah, great. And 1 more. You see? This is machine learning. We'll go learning and faster. You see now? Look. I will not even say anything and they will come. That's an easy way to teach machine learning. That's how machines should work. You do it once, you force the understanding, and as you go through, after 5 repetition, or actually 1, 2, 3, 4, now it's going by itself. So that's why I don't bother explaining artificial intelligence, because, artificial intelligence is exactly this. It's how life works. Now that you are in groups, we have now few minutes for you, about 15 minutes, let me see. Yeah, about 15 minutes for you as a group. You will come together, we'll look at each other, and you will say, what is your passion? And you can use the framework of the Sustainable Development Goals. I will bring it back to you so you can remember. Yeah, this one here. So you can use this framework to pick one of them and tell the group why it's important for you. Right? And what can you do about it? Why is important for you and what can you do about it? Fair enough? Good? Shall we start? Go for it. I will even put some sound here for you. It's going to be cool. You can start. You can talk to each other. You guys can continue. I'm going to ask you another thing. You can stay. You have to choose one person from the group. Just stay, come back. Don't go yet. You need to choose one person from the group that you believe, have really a big passion, that will come to the front and share with the group what's their passion. So we'll have 4 individuals, 1 representative from each group. You can decide as a group. Just look at each other from your group now and say, who's going? Who should go? You come. You. Come, guys, come. And 1 more from the last group. Oh, that's amazing. You see? We already accomplished one of the goals, right? What is the goal? Gender equality. 50-50. So, first of all, thank you so much for being brave enough to be here and share with everybody. And thank you all because you've done something great here. You act towards something that you're passionate about. And you are aligning everything that you're passionate towards a bigger cause. And now we have 4 examples. Shall we hear them? Let's start with you.
So, good afternoon. My name is Omar, and I've been working with my wonderful group. So we believe that we should start at goal number 3, because good health and well-being is like the core of our modern society. And then like we'll move on to goal number 8, which is decent work and economic growth. And the reason is because we need our modern economy to be a versatile one and to be a diverse one for us to be able to achieve sustainable goals, to achieve the other goals. So we need a strong economy. And then we want to acknowledge the link that's already available to us in goal number 9, since most of our services, for example, here in the UAE, are becoming digital, are becoming so versatile and so mobile that a person, God forbid, even if he or she got sick, can still work from home and still be productive. So that link is already available, and I believe, and me and my group believe, that we can work on it to be even more advanced. And lastly, we believe that goal number 17 is also an important one, because we need cooperation and we need all the hands we can get to achieve our goals. Thank you.
Done.
Hi, my name is Gul. Our group, thank you for working with me and everybody here. Thank you for being here. First of all, our group thought 17 was really important because it's important that everybody work together towards a common goal instead of heading in opposite directions, so that we can grow together and not separately. And we thought that no hunger and good health and well-being was really important because we need a healthy population of people on this planet to be able to work together and be fit enough to be able to think properly and do what they need to do properly. And we felt that through innovation, number 9, we'd be able to develop new technology to be able to allow people to do that safely and well, and be able to create new solutions to the same problems that we've been facing for the past 3 decades. And we also thought that number 12, responsible consumption and production, would be really important Because if we are to create new solutions, we need to know how to be able to manage them, and we need to know how companies can be able to use those solutions to help us use them in our everyday lives.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Al-Balusi and I worked with my group. There's two here. And we believe that quality education, from it we can improve many things. Like for example, if we have quality education to everybody, so we'll be having people with the knowledge. With the knowledge we can get the goal number 8, decent work and economic growth. With that, like there will be people with the knowledge, they just don't have the experience. We can give them experience. People working, there will be no poverty. No poverty, that means zero hunger. And zero hunger means peace and justice. And that's what we believe in. It's a quick and simple.
Hello, my name is Jawahar. Me and my group saw the quality education as the number one. Like in the United Arab Emirates, we're privileged enough to have good universities and schools. However, we don't have enough research universities, and I think that's very crucial in order for us to find solutions for complex problems. For number 2, we saw that the zero hunger takes the second place. So many countries such as Africa and Yemen, they suffer from hunger. So that's number 2. And thank you.
Everybody, good job. Thank you so much. You see how inspiring it is? Come on, put your hands together once again for all of them. What I like very much about the way you think is the correlation you are making between the goals, right? So you're really looking through 17 goals and you see cause and effect between them. And that's beautiful, right? That's brilliant. That's exactly what we need. Sometimes there is one of the goals that you feel passionate about, but one of those goals will impact the other and will impact the other. And you just prove that it is possible to think in a systemic way to achieve those goals. And that's why they were put there in the first place. When we look at those goals, it's a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. And the exercise that you just did right now was an example of how you can live a life with a purpose, that you can pick one of those goals as your life mission. Because I tell you something, each one of those goals, they actually represent another pandemic. You see what COVID is doing to all of us? Imagine poverty in a bigger scale in the world. Imagine hunger. Imagine all the problems we can have around health. So the opposite of those goals, they are actually different pandemics that humankind would face if we don't act on them. And now you just proved that it's possible. What's the next step? Is for us to use artificial intelligence to achieve that. And that's what we're going to do in the next few minutes and tomorrow. We're going to understand the role of artificial intelligence to help us to become the superheroes we are here, to be. And how this technology is actually developing in a way that can be used to act in each one of those goals. Good? We've been here before. You've done a great job on your group activity. And now let's watch this.
So use the next generation sneaker that's going to make us market leader.
Did we hit our weight and spring target?
Absolutely. The shoe blows the competition out of the water.
Great. Sign the wrapper?
We're close. Just finalizing the royalties.
What about the carbon footprint?
It's non-marking, Kathy.
I'm talking climate impact, Dylan.
I know. pairs.
25 billion pairs a year, globally, have a combined impact like France. And oh, by the way, focus groups tell us that our target market cares.
And you factored this in, right? How does this shoe compare to the competition? What do we need to optimize to be the low carbon leader?
Well, we can't manage what we don't measure. We'd have to calculate carbon at every step in the value chain, from raw material mining to end of use. It's like cost accounting.
Seriously? Who's going to go to all that trouble?
The future market leader.
The future market leader. It's a funny video, right? So you see how interesting it is, from sneakers that needs to be out in the market all the way to the worry on how the sneakers will be done in a sustainable way. That's how markets will work in the future. Who are you in that movie? Are you the guy that just came up with a great idea of a new sneaker, but he didn't think about any of the implication of that sneaker to the environment? Are you the boss that needs to make a decision on, should we do something that is more responsible or not? Or are you like that lady that will be the one that will raise your hand and say, look, did you think about the implication of the carbon emission of this new product? Who are you? Are you that lady also that came with a solution and said, all the value chain needs to change? She started telling everything that needs to change to accomplish that, right? So for me, that movie is a good definition of how everything will change because of this one variable, which is the emissions of our products and services. And for us to accomplish that, we'll have to reimagine strategy. Say with me, strategy. Without strategy, we don't accomplish things. Strategy is what organizes things to happen. When it comes to strategy, we have to achieve things through a process, right? So you have the enablers, say enablers. What are the enablers of a business? People, culture. So you need to have people and culture as the core, as the enablers for you to achieve something. And if you now go to the marketplace, and if you're watching us, and you are in the marketplace, you are working right now. So what kind of culture do you bring to your company? What kind of values do you bring to your company? If those values are sustainable, it means that you are able to make a difference when it comes to a sustainable future. So working on the right enablers will give you processes. Things must happen in a processual way. For you to be here today, there was a process of putting this event together. Communication, organizing the room, cleaning the space, all the infrastructure of this amazing room that we are in, all the availability for you that is at home, that are watching us. All of that were a result of processes that came together. Then we have stakeholders. So when you put processes together, you need to achieve results for stakeholders. And what stakeholders mean is everybody. It's not only the owner of the business, or we call them the shareholders of the business. The stakeholders are everybody. It's the community, it's the government, it's the customer. All stakeholders should be taken into account when you are doing business. And finally, you have outcomes. One of the outcomes here could be economic, for sure. You can make profit out of business. Considering the sneaker, you can have a sneaker that makes a lot of profit for the company. But at the same time, the sneaker needs to create a social value and environmental value. It cannot be a sneaker that will be out there, as a waste at the end of the life cycle of the sneaker. So reimagining strategy will help us to create a triple bottom line. Say with me, triple bottom line. If you understand the concept of a triple bottom line, You will be ahead of a lot of people in business already, because this is the concept that will differentiate future leaders. It's the ability for you to do business with a purpose. It's the ability for you to do business that is aligned with how society should grow. And it's a very profitable business, because when you do things that are environmentally friendly, that is socially good, and that is economic, what does that mean? It means that you will be having access to capital, money to your business. You'll have access to people to work for your business. Who wants to work in a business that doesn't do good for the world? Nobody wants to work for a company like that. But if you know for a fact that a company, that a government have values like the ones we discussed today, would you be willing to work for them? Of course, yes. And that's how everything will be reimagined going forward. And that's a very important skill to have. Then, so if this is all great, why it didn't happen in the first place yet? Why? Have you asked your questions? Like, Pedro, it's all good, but why this doesn't exist yet? Why we are into this mess? There are clear barriers. Yes, you have a comment. Yes. She will bring the mic to you.
Like people were started doing businesses, discovering about industries and so profit was their number one goal. No one cared about the economy till they start showing side effects on the planet, global warming and so people start giving warnings and putting that as a priority for businesses and governments to follow.
Yeah. So different priorities brought us to this situation in the first place, right? Yes.
We're also kind of stuck in this situation because everybody's so used to lifestyle like this and just having processes like this already that they find it difficult to change. So I guess we need to start afresh with everything if we want to reform everything.
So it's about the lifestyle, and we need a refresh on that lifestyle. That's absolutely right.
I think that we need to embrace the change to come and like to be more sustainable, to aim to save our planet the earliest we can. And we need like to stop relying on profit or on profit or on making money in business, because although that's very, very important, our planet and our climate is as of equal importance to that. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's the balance, right? So you cannot just focus on one thing. You need to balance everything when you are making decisions on how to do. I like it. Thank you so much. You see, this is progress. You have more interaction. And that's important that you put your brain to work, because you are the solution. You are here because you are the solution. And I'm very proud that you are really making your best effort in order for you to think through the situation and see yourself being part of the solution. Now, when we asked business leaders around the world what they think are the barriers, we found out three main things. Number one, they actually tell us that it's unclear how to embed sustainability into business processes and IT systems, right? It's kind of if you think all of this is new to you, if you're trying to process all this information, I tell you, don't worry. A lot of business leaders in companies that are very large, they are also not clear about what to do. So we are not alone. Actually, I think of all of you as having an advantage, and I would call it a sustainability advantage. Stay with me, sustainability advantage. It's just like competition, right? So when you go into a competition, you need to have something different about you. What's going to be different about you in the marketplace? Is that you understand the reason why we need to do things differently. And because you're joining our session, and because you're acting on those kind of things, more often you will understand how to embed sustainability using artificial intelligence into those business processes to start changing things. That's why we are here. But the number two, they also don't understand, it's unclear how potential actions would align with strategy. Companies, they are built for profit. And now they have all these environmental issues that they have to align to that, is what I asked you. And honestly, I ask business leaders the same question. How do you align yourself, your department, everything you do to those goals? The same exercise you did here. And honestly, they are also lost. It's nice to see, but it's not that easy to correlate yourself to that. It's not easy to make the actions align to the strategy. And number three, difficulty proving return on investment. Imagine you are going to start your own company. Who wants to start a company someday? Right? This is an amazing goal, being an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, what you're going to need? Money. You will need someone that come and invest money in your startup, in your company. And when you do that, you will have to prove return on investment. You will need to prove that everything you do will give some sort of a return. And if you have part of your cost towards making things more sustainable, taking the planet into consideration, does that make it cheaper for you? Maybe, if you're using resources in a smart way, so you can prove return on investment being smarter than everybody else. You can prove return on investment being smarter than everybody else on how you use the resources. Are you with me? So those barriers point us to how we solve that problem as a business, how we solve that problem as a community. And it's getting very hard now not to do some action. And I will give you just a background on where we are coming from with this talk here. Back in 2016, there was an agreement in Paris. They call that the Paris Agreement. All countries, they came together and they agreed to limit the global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels, and to adjust the financial flows accordingly. 2016. Not that long ago. Then they came together and they started looking at that in 2018 and 19 and said, who is acting on that agreement? And they found out that real action didn't exist. Real action didn't exist. So it was only in 2019 they came together and said, you know what? We will create regulation, law, that forces companies to come together and do something about it. So now, it's not only a nice to have, it's mandatory. Businesses cannot operate if they are not able to deal with the issues that we just discussed here. It's not a nice to have anymore. So, by the end of 2020, they came up with something else that is a little bit deeper in Europe. They call it the taxonomy. Because when it comes to a sustainable future, we need to speak the same language, isn't it? Is it possible to get progress if you don't speak the same language? It's difficult, right? Imagine I was here talking to you in Portuguese. Tudo bem? Vocês conseguem me entender se eu falar em português agora com vocês? Eu estou falando agora, se você está me escutando de casa e você fala português, você vai conseguir me entender. Mas as pessoas que estão aqui, não. Did you understand anything I just said right now? So we need a common language. And in order for us to solve the problem of sustainability to the world, we need to speak the same language. And that's where the taxonomy came into place in Europe. And now the world is coming together to report, to talk the same language, to understand what are the metrics, what are the numbers we need to work on, what are the actions that we need to do in a coordinated way that we will achieve the results. Common language. Say with me, common language. That's the first thing. So if you understand that language, and the first step towards understanding that language is being here today, if you understand that language, you will speak the language of the future. Sustainability is the language of the future. Fair enough? Then, for us to actually achieve that goal, there are 3 pillars that we'll be talking about. First pillar is the environment, which has to do with the climate change, zero emissions, zero waste, zero inequalities, everything that has to do with the environment. Number 2, social. The social responsibility, diversity, inclusion, reskilling for employment. When it comes to artificial intelligence, a lot of jobs that exist today will not exist in the future, and that's a social problem. And to address that social problem, the solution is reskilling of people. And obviously, social entrepreneurship. For those of you that want to start your own company, that want to have your startup, you can make a startup that have a social impact. And that social enterprise, as we call it, will have a lot of opportunities going forward to receive funding and to have space, because the world needs them. And the final one is about governance. What is governance? Governance is how we are going to structure things in a coordinated way. It's about regulation and compliance. It's about the impact of accounting rules. It must have rules for us to achieve that. And finally, cybersecurity. Who is interested in cybersecurity here? It's a very important topic. Who wants your data to be exposed all over the place? Nobody. And that's an issue. Data is the foundation for sustainability. And if without the proper care of data, we will not have a sustainable future. So we'll deep dive in those topics tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day where we're going to deep dive into the environmental, social, and governance. We call them the ESG. ESG factors that drives everything. Now, there is a framework that I want to finish with this framework here, and then we will open for questions, okay? I want you to understand this framework very well, because if you understand that, it will make it very easy for you to understand where and which stage you can act. Because most important of this session today is action. It doesn't matter your age. It matters your willingness to take action and make a difference. So you can live here today and you start, planning what is the company you're going to start, what kind of company you want to work for, what kind of future do you choose. You can start working on it today. And that's the reason why we started bringing those topics together. So, first thing here, we need to understand the difference between accountability, profitability, and desirability. And we need to correlate that with compliance, efficiency, and innovation. And if we deep dive on that, we can have a chart. It's an artificial intelligence session, after all, so we love charts. It's a 3x3 that creates a correlation between accountability and compliance, profitability and efficiency, innovation and desirability. When it comes to accountability and compliance, it means that it's by law required that we do something. So you can have solutions that use artificial intelligence to solve the problem of accountability, reporting on sustainability, reporting on those issues. Or you can use artificial intelligence in the intersection between efficiency and profitability, because still a business must be profitable. But in order for a business to be profitable, it also must be efficient. And sustainability is profitable, and profitability is sustainable. That's what we're going to learn here tomorrow. That sustainability is profitable, and profitability is sustainable. And finally, it's about the desirability. It's about the desirability. And desirability means that there is an appetite in the world. The world is looking for things that are sustainable. Employees want to work for companies that are sustainable. So there is a very high correlation between the market needs with sustainability. And in order for us to achieve that, we need innovation. Say with me, innovation. Who wants to work with innovation? When you use innovation in the proper way, you will tap into the new consumer that exists. We call them the green consumer. A green consumer expects everything to be sustainable. Take it for granted. Your generation and the new generations to come will not accept things that are not sustainable. They want traceability. They will look at the product and they will look back and say, where this product came from? What did you use to build this product? And those information will have to exist. I will have to tap into a QR code and go all the way back where the salmon came from, where this cloth came from. Do you understand what I mean? So there is demand for using technology in a more meaningful way. And that's what you're going to explore, in the session tomorrow. So far, so good? Who is happy with the session so far? I'm very glad to hear. And I want questions. I want now to have a conversation with you. And if you're watching us from home, I really want you to send us questions, and the team will help sharing those questions with me. And now we'll have a Q&A. Yes.
For the Paris Agreement, how did they manage to come up with regulations that was both enough to help stop climate change or reduce it, and also be able to be implemented by all countries of all GDPs and of all poverty levels?
Well, first and foremost, they tapped into leadership. They had to choose the future, they wanted to live in. It was not easy to come with an agreement, right? That's why it's the Paris Agreement. But it's not enough, right? So we are now, in November, coming up with another opportunity for the world to come together, the COP26 in Glasgow. And they will once again discuss about what are the initiatives, what they are doing to change. They will have to be accountable, and they will have to show how they are building into the future in November. So what happens now is that governments, they are not only happy with commitments that are verbally done, They want to put regulation in order to force companies to reduce their emissions, right? And that's what changed after the Paris Agreement.
Yeah, but how did they decide what those regulations were? Like, how did they decide they were fair for everybody to actually stick to?
They have experts that come together from all over the world, that they represent different areas of expertise, right? And that's important because when you set targets based on science, right, you gotta have those experts that help us to understand the cause and effect of everything. It's not easy to set targets when it comes to, life on Earth, because there's a lot of correlation. So the way they do it, they bring experts together with proposals of things that they believe could work. And some of those proposals, they become standards that everybody should use. That's where the regulation is important, because the regulation will determine that if you don't accomplish this standard, or if you don't use this framework to operate, you will not be allowed to operate. And that's where the difference comes. And what's the correlation of that? The correlation of that is investment. If you have money, you want to invest in a business that will have a license to operate, right? That they will have the ability to work. Otherwise, your money will go away. So investors around the world, they're coming together and they're looking at this as an opportunity. So investing in a sustainable business is the biggest opportunity an investor have today. And that's one of the priorities of their decision for making an investment. It's called responsible investment or impact investing in the business community. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. More questions. I like it. Yes.
Hello. So basically, when I was reading the barriers list, I noticed one of the factors where some companies or organizations that are against environmental sustainability because it goes against their personal benefits. So for example, one type of sector that comes to mind is oil and gas companies. There are many multinational oil and gas companies like Chevron or Shell. These companies aren't exactly willing to comply with agreements or any kind, even if there are laws that will mandate them to do certain things, sustainable things, they're probably going to get their way out. And it's not only not sustainable environmentally, but also economically. Because oil and gas is going to stop at some point and get finished, so they're not providing jobs. So how are we going to deal with companies, that kind of companies that are not willing to comply because of their personal benefits?
It's a great question. So the question is, how companies like Shell and others will comply, because it goes against of some of the things they do, right? One of the important concepts we're going to learn tomorrow when you are here is about scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. You will learn what is the difference of an emission that is, direct in your control and indirect. It's a very important concept for you to make a difference. And we're going to learn that tomorrow. And I tell you something, after Paris Agreement, not much has been done in terms of regulation, but recently, in the Netherlands, courts has ruled against Shell that they have to be harder on their commitments to the environment. So the importance of having regulation is that there is punishment, right? And we just had the first example with Shell recently, right? And I'm sure they are right now doing their level best to change their business model and the way they operate, because it's not only anymore a question of I would like to do it, is that they must do it. They had a target by 2030 that had almost to double after courts ruled. It means that they will have to use more of their profits to change their processes. They will have to use their research and development budget in order to create new products. It's not only the gasoline that they are responsible for that continue emitting emissions just after they deliver it to the customer, but now they will have to reimagine their products and create more products that are renewable, products that are not as impacting the world. So that's it. Courts have ruled. So if you don't do it, they will come after you. So there is a big incentive for them to change. And I can guarantee they are all working on that direction to change. I will come to you. Can you give to him just first? Be right back. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I believe that future companies should integrate AI into their everyday operations and everything related to the company. But the thing is that as AI is emerging, it's not very viable or it's not very feasible for the businesses yet. So by when will it become more feasible for the business to implement AI and still break even at a decent time, while not running out of business or while not going bankrupt?
So how faster we can implement AI to solve those problems, right? And I think it goes to the question of what is the state of AI today? Have you been to another session of the AI Summer Camp before? Raise your hands if you've been to another session. Who is here for the first time? Raise your hands. So the AI Summer Camp exists in order to give us the state of AI. So if you come to all sessions that they are organizing here, you will learn from different companies, different experts, what they are doing to use AI. And you know what? You will see that there is so much happening. The technology is not the limitation anymore. We have powerful computer, cloud computing that can make things happen. We even have quantum computing happening. This will create a speed for those algorithms, for those things that are artificially intelligent enabled to happen. So technology is not the limitation anymore. That's why this session here takes care of why you should use the technology differently, right? This session here is that, the pressure is not on the technology. The pressure is on us, on how to use the technology with purpose, right? So I agree with you. We need to do that faster. We need to implement the technology faster. And also we need to come up with plans that solve those problems even faster. Make sense? There's a question there?
Thank you. We do have a question from YouTube, from Abdullah Al-Mansouri. But before I ask his question, I'd like to address something that you just said. In regards of the summer camp and the different topics that we are covering, this is something that we try to showcase everyone, that we are actually using artificial intelligence to benefit people. So some of the sessions that I would recommend you guys to join would be the one about the uses of AI in genomics and how healthcare is now using AI to develop genomics. We also have the usage of AI in space. This is something that I think would be interesting for all of you. We have used AI in making meetings better. So this is something that may be worth considering joining, because it gives you an insight on how AI is being used today in different ways, in many forms. So the question from Abdullah Al-Mansouri: in a country such as the UAE, where we depend on oil and gas, how such countries utilize technology and artificial intelligence to reduce emissions and at the same time produce oil and gas? So it's very similar to your question.
Yes, sure. Well, this country is actually taking the lead on several initiatives like green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is a very good renewable technology that can help us with the future. And this country is leading the way on, exploring those technologies in order to make that happen. Another thing that's happening here is solar, right? Solar as a renewable energy is a very good, solution to the problem. And this country is exploring more often than not farms of solar panels that will generate energy in a more sophisticated way. And of course, there's nuclear as the way of generating energy. So there are so many solutions that should be explored.
Pedro?
And the leadership of the country here is actually focusing on that, yes.
The voice is not clear for the YouTubers.
Sorry?
Yeah, can you talk closer to the mic?
Yep. Is it better now? So I was saying that the technology that is the solution for those things are being explored in the country. We spoke about the green hydrogen. We spoke about nuclear energy, solar panels. So all those technologies, they are being used in a way that could be the solution for the problem. And the UAE is actively exploring them. More questions?
As consumers, how are we able to convert to renewable products? Because sometimes it's really hard, such as electric cars. They're generally very expensive for the masses to be able to buy and use compared to petrol cars. But how are we able to switch if they're either too expensive or not as available? And by when do you think will that transition be easier?
As individuals, how can we change our lifestyle to be more sustainable? And I tell you, this is the key going forward, because our behavior as consumers will determine how companies will produce their products. So if you don't accept plastic in your product, you don't put your money into things that takes plastic, what happens? The industry will have to exchange plastic for something else. Right? If you don't buy clothes that you don't know how those clothes were built, if it was, taking advantage of a child's, right? So if you require that information and you don't put your money on things that are not, guaranteed that is done in a just way, they will have to change their practices, right? There is a green premium to do things, to build things in a sustainable way. But as a consumer, we are willing to pay when things are done the right way. And that will be the incentive for those companies to change as well, right? So we have a big role. If you change your consumer behavior, companies will change the way they produce. So the answer to your question is that, yes, we have power in our hand, which is where we use our money. So if you use your money in a sustainable way, it will mean that you are forcing those companies to change.
Thank you.
Yep. One final question.
I think you should target that side. Yeah.
Questions? She wants you guys to talk.
I want this side to talk. Yeah.
There you go. She's got a lot of influence power.
Okay, so you mentioned in 2020 they came up with the taxonomy. So are there types, and how does it manifest itself?
Are they, sorry?
The taxonomy.
Yes, what's the question?
Yes, does it come in types?
Yeah, so the taxonomy, it comes as ways of organizations should report on things that are sustainable, right? So if one company report in one direction and another company report in another direction, how do we compare, the performance of those companies? So the taxonomy exists to organize all the information into a structure that is common for reporting across all companies. So then we can benchmark, we can use those metrics to compare and to improve. So we know who is doing best, and we can actually go to them and get as a reference. And we go to someone that is not doing that well, and we help them improve. So that's where the taxonomy will help. And if you download the taxonomy from Europe right now, you will see that there are different sections that brings together all the KPIs that will help them to, apply to the business in a more meaningful way. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Yes. So we will test you now and
Oh,
see how wonderful did you do by measuring the clap. Are you guys ready? 1, 2, 3.
Put your hands together. Thank you so much. So I have one suggestion. I want to take a picture with everybody. So you come, everybody here, and we take a picture and we look at the camera because there are people watching us from home, and we say some words to them. Does that work?
Cool. Yeah.
Come here, everybody.
Just one more thing, please. If you want your certificates for today, please come again tomorrow because this is a continuation. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And I hope you guys think of one thing so we can start our session tomorrow where something that you can do or you've been doing that is sustainable. And we'll give that as a piece of advice for each other. So maybe it's something very simple, but it works. When we tell each other what the simple things that we do, we create that bigger influence and that big. So this is your homework for tomorrow.
Exactly. That's why I came with this shirt. Build things that matters.
Yes.
Come, let's take a picture together. And if you are at home watching us, thank you so much for your time as well. And we'll have something to tell you. Come, everybody on top here. Here. Are you ready? So we need to say something special for the people at home. They're watching us live. So what we're going to tell them? See? Build things that matter. So when I say 3, we're going to look at the people watching us and we'll say, build things that matter together. Does that work? Yeah. So build things that matter, okay? And we're also going to take a nice picture together. And we're going to record this one. So we'll do 2 things. We'll take a picture together, and then we'll record. Is it picture time now? Okay, so this is the picture. And now we'll do the video, okay? Ready? In 1, 2, 3. Build things that matter. Yeah, well done. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for your time. I see you tomorrow.